How about them Suns, baby? Suns win. 122-117 over the Sacramento Kings. Snapped their home winning streak at 6. There is no lighting the beam or smoking the bowl or whatever they do. They have that weird thing now up in Sacramento, Matthew, where at the end of the game, when they win at home, they like press a button and they yell at the crowd. And then from the top of the Golden One Center, they have like 6 lasers they light up the Sacramento sky. None of that shit tonight. Devin Booker, Big Dick Booker's it tonight. Huge rebound by Torrey Craig at the end of the game. Plenty to talk about on this one, including your audio. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was in Texas, as you guys know, who were watching the pod the last 2 times or 3 times, and I left my mic. So now I have just my headphones. I'm trying to figure this shit out. I hope I sound all right. Do I sound decent? I mean, it's all right, right?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I mean, it sounds like you're calling into the show. So,
That's pretty vintage then, huh?
Yeah, Jamsters, if it's too unmerciful, let me know, and I'll Felix, World War II audio. But I remember AIM voice.
Oh boy.
But Kiko's excited. Lissy's back. I'm excited that you're back, Matthew. And again, thank you to the Aussie Suns fans podcast, both Gavin and Boyd, for filling in while Matthew was traveling back. It was fun having a good conversation with them, especially following a 29-21 performance by DeAndre Ayton. But it's only right to talk basketball with Matthew. So I'm looking forward to this game to talk about what happened tonight between the Suns and the Sacramento Kings. And Matthew, I will say this. Your outfit looks really, really cool.
Does it?
It does. I like it. You got the orange shirt with the white logo, and then you got the black hat with the white logo.
I didn't notice till now because the whole second half of the game, I was scrambling to figure out audio to make it sound different. So I was watching it and I'm like, all right, throw this on, and I look good. I show up a little late. Audio doesn't sound as good, and I still look good, right?
That's 70% of the battle. So, real quick, Samurai Foods in the chat says, "Yeah, Lissy, say you've got mail."
You've got mail.
There you go. You guys can use that as your ringtone.
Boy.
And Lando Alverson says, at least Lissy's takes are worth the shitty audio.
Oh, thank you.
Brian B said, Matthew's going OG. So for those of you who are listening to the podcast, we hope this is acceptable to you. We hope you don't just tune us off. And if you're watching, hey, thanks for hanging out with us after another Suns victory. We promise to have a fun show ahead of you. Make sure you hit the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Facebook or Twitter, head on over to the YouTube, drop a like, then head back to the streaming service of your choice to consume this content. Again, plenty to talk about. Make sure you follow me at shit. I dropped my bottle opener. Hold on. Say things in World War II audio.
Where's your assistant? We need you to get your assistant doing you drop stuff so you don't have to bend over. There you are.
Oh man, that hurt my sciatic nerve. Shit. I'm gonna
Sorry,
doggy.
man.
All right. Well,
Don't mean to laugh at that. Yeah.
Jesus, be nice. Well, let's go ahead and pop this thing open. Matthew, I'm having a Cider Boys First Press traditional hard cider beer. You like cider beers, right?
I do not. No, never have.
Good. Well,
Okay.
pop them if you got them, Suns fans. My assistant to pop open my beer. I'm making a mess in here. No one likes cider beer. Go Suns. Solid win by the Phoenix Suns. Their third road win this season. They're now 3-5 after defeating the Sacramento Kings by a final score of 122-117. Which brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I gotta ask, and this is tough. There's a lot of questions I have. But I think I'll kind of start where this game ended. Torrey Craig with a massive, absolutely massive offensive rebound while the Suns were leading 120-117 as time was expiring. or at least was under 10 seconds. He gets the rebound. He dishes out to Mikal Bridges, gets Devin Booker to the line one last time to where he can put in his 44th total point. I got to ask Matthew, and this is something the Aussie Suns fans were commenting on Twitter. When Cameron Johnson comes back, does Torrey Craig remain the starter?
No, I don't think so. As much as we might want it right now, I don't know how long it's going to last. I think the thing is with Juice, he might run out of juice soon. The thing is, though, you have to think about the future. The Suns, they're planning on having Cameron Johnson be that starting four. So there's nothing that they can really do to have Juice start there. They have to have Cameron Johnson come back. If he were to come back healthy anytime soon, which is not going to be, I feel like this is going to be a long thing. Honestly, I'm not worried about this season. I think this season is kind of a wash for Cameron Johnson just based off the injury. I think if he comes back, it might be something he can maybe get back into rhythm when he comes back and plays in the playoffs. But right now, I think Juice is playing so good that you don't really have to look for a starting four in free agency. Maybe you do. Maybe that's a sore spot right now for the Suns, but he's filling the spot right now to where I don't even think if Cameron Johnson were to come back later in the year, you don't rush it. But eventually you want to, but I just think if he comes back later in the year, you don't want to rush it. But, dude, it's just crazy how good Juice is playing.
Yeah.
And then I totally forget about Cameron Johnson until you brought him up right now. I see him in street clothes once in a while. I don't even think of it as an issue of us not having a four. Like, I really don't. Do you? Like, are there things that he's not doing out there that a four can do? I mean, he's grabbing the boards. He's rebounding. The defense tonight was really suspect between Ayton and Juice. Mm-hmm. Even Mikal Bridges. There's a lot of switching issues there. But I don't think you can blame everything on one night. I don't think you can have, you can't really just blame everything that it's on Juice. And then that also, like, Cameron Johnson needs to come back and hurry and play defense, get those rebounds. Because we don't really know if he can do that either. So I think you just have to think of it this way. Be happy with what Juice is doing. He's giving us starting power forward minutes. Yes. We have to be excited about that, right?
100%. And that's why, I thought it was a great question that Gavin posed on Twitter. And it's something that I wanted to talk about, especially considering that Torrey Craig is the one who sealed this game. And Torrey Craig had some very impressive drives to the hoop. You take a look at his final stat line. He was 5 of 10 for the field, 1 of 3 from beyond the arc. He had 11 points. He had 3 assists. He had 5 rebounds. And 3 of those were on the offensive end. And that's how he was getting some of his scoring, was offensive rebounding. I think, again, we're clearly getting ahead of ourselves. Cameron Johnson is probably a month away from being talked about coming back. He didn't get the full-on meniscus surgery, which typically takes about 4 months. He took something, he had part of his meniscus removed. It was about a 2-month turnaround time. That's going to put us right around the middle of December, back into December, maybe for New Year's. That's our gift. We get a healthy Cameron Johnson back playing. I think that part of his comeback will be Monty Williams having him come off the bench in limited capacity to get, to strengthen that meniscus up, to get him kind of back into playing shape. And I think when everything's said and done, Cameron Johnson's going to start to come off the bench again. And I think he should. I think Juice, to all the points you just mentioned, Juice is playing so well. Now, again, we don't know how sustainable it is, but we're almost a quarter of the way through the season, and he's had, 2/3 of that quarter. So whatever the mathematical equation that is, he's had 16 games or what have you. It's probably like 9 as a starter. And that being said, he's been unbelievably valuable for this team. I think that when Cameron Johnson comes back, he garners more offensive load. He takes that load off of Devin Booker, which is a plus. But I also think that because Torrey Craig is your 5th scoring option currently on this team, and the way that he aggressively is rebounding the ball, the mentality that both he and DeAndre Ayton have around the offensive glass, something that they've done, 4 games in a row now, double-digit offensive rebounds. I think it's unbelievably vital to this team. And I think Cameron Johnson, in his role coming off the bench, as he has for his entire career, as a sharpshooter, as somebody who can generate offense, does nothing but benefit that side of the ball. So now you could say that putting Torrey Craig back with the bench team is going to allow him to provide the same kind of intensity that he has been providing all season, as he did when he was coming off of the bench to begin the season. But still, I think that Torrey Craig has earned these starting minutes, and knowing that Cameron Johnson will be coming back from injury, it might be a long time until we see Cam Johnson coming off the bench. Starter.
Do you think it's actually like a step back for Cameron Johnson, though? Like, do you think this
Not
is
really? not
because he's going
really.
to come back, work himself into it. Then of course the Suns have to kind of adapt. I just don't know how much is a step back for him. I know the injury, he didn't go the surgery route to where he would have been out pretty much the whole year, but just now because the Suns are playing so good and kind of Ayton's feeling things, like I don't know if it's a step back for him or the team when he comes back. I don't know. I just hate to even think about that right now because the Suns are finally gelling and Ayton's starting to wake up. So it's kind of like I kind of wish I wanted to come back and I wanted to come off the bench.
Mhm.
That's what I want. I really want that. But I just think the Suns themselves are going to think we need to see what he looks like in that starting position because he can be the guy. It's just, it's up to really if his audio sounds like shit or not, right?
Luke Carter in the chat. Ground control to Major Lissy.
Do I sound like John Bloom, though, at least? On the radio call? Like, come on, give me that. Don't sound like in World War II or whatever.
It's funny. Well, and again, I think that is it a step back in his career? Yes, if he's coming off the bench, but if it's something that he can do to benefit this team and help them be offensively stable from the second team unit aspect, I think that it's a pro for him, and how he responds to whatever decision Monty Williams makes relative to whether or not he's starting is going to bode well for him because, if somebody's like, hey, I'm going to put myself in or I'm going to put the team ahead of my personal needs, much akin to the majority of the players on this team, it's been beneficial to everybody who's been a member of this team over the past 3 years. I mean, DeAndre Ayton sacrificed his personal statistics in an effort to help the team and ultimately got paid to do so. And now, we're starting to see that side of the ball and that side of DeAndre Ayton come out in true beast mode because he has the opportunity to do so.
Ayton watch.
As much fun as it was hanging out with the Aussies, it was upsetting because I knew that you weren't there to talk about DeAndre Ayton in his 29-21. You take a look at what he did tonight. In 35 minutes, he was 8 of 10 from the field, 17 points, 12 boards. He also had how many assists? Oh, only the one assist. But Matthew, I'll say this: DeAndre Ayton, Player of the Week. Did you ever think we'd see the day?
No. It's crazy because I was thinking, is it the first time he's actually won Player of the Week?
Yeah.
It has to be, right? Right there beside Giannis. I'm like, man, it could be something that can happen more and more and more because you can see how dominant he is. And I'm sorry I missed the podcast, and I even missed the whole game. I got to watch it when I got back home, but it's not the same thing. It's so different watching it when it's not live because you already know what's going to happen, obviously. But it's just towards the fourth quarter, I'm like, dude, like this guy, he was playing on another level, but I just love the fact that he was making himself so available.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how the stats just come because I talk about all the time where I don't want to look at the stat sheet. I don't care. I just want to see it on the floor. I want to see him wanting to play. And he even said in the post-game conference, he was talking about how I want to be great. I want to do this, this, and that. And I was just thinking, I'm like, this is crazy because Booker has to deal with this all the time. It's like, oh, now he's just finally saying this shit. You know what I mean? Like he's always said things and he always thought he was dominant. But to come out and say, like, I'm going to be great. I got to be the tone setter. Yes. Yes. Thank you, man.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be every night, especially in a night like this where Booker goes off and it's just, no one else can really step up and be that second guy because Booker's just been so insane tonight.
Well, we wanted some DA games, right? Like we've had Booker games and tonight was a Booker game, but we wanted some DA games. And guess what we got last week? We got some DA games. And I love what Taddy Mason, one of our elite jamsters, says in the chat. He says, DA didn't have the huge stats tonight, but he was still aggressive. And that's what you're talking about, Matthew. We don't need the stats. People who instantly bank on the stats aren't watching the game. They're relying on the statistics. I want to just see the aggressiveness. And I love what Taddy says. He goes, I was so proud when he got called for that charge. As was I. I was like, hell yeah, DA got called for a charge. Why? Because that displays the fact that he's being aggressive. He's going to the hoop sometimes with a little bit of reckless abandon. One of those things that we need from DeAndre Ayton, just a touch of that reckless abandon. And he's added this like spin move. I can't describe this new spin move that he's added. He brought it out again tonight, where essentially he starts to spin to his right, and he does a full on 360, whatever the one after 540. Does like a 540 into a layup, and it's unguardable. No one can guard it. It's like the Tasmanian devil coming at you, and he's whirlwinding at you, and the defenders just kind of stand back. Oh shit! Look at this massive human being with shoulders wider than Michael Phelps flying at me. I don't know how to defend this. So you take into account that he was making the statements that you referenced, how he wants to be the tone setter, how he understands that he sets the pace for the team, and they're going to feed off of him like they did. How he had that huge offensive rebound at the end of the last game, which sealed the deal. And how he came out tonight, and outside of the second quarter, where he was having he was getting picked apart by that pick and roll with Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis, which we'll talk about momentarily because I want to talk about Mikal Bridges' performance tonight. But outside of that, I mean, he was, again, just unbelievably engaged in this game. And that's what all I've been wanting, and that's all I've been noticing. And I think you as well will sit there and we'll watch these games. And it's like, fuck, man, 2 of the 4 quarters, he's in it. The other 2, he's not. I mean, that's what the story was 2 weeks ago, was shitty first halves by Ayton, and then he just turns it on. You're like, holy shit. And he did that like 3 games in a row. And then the last 3 games leading into the Sacramento Kings game, he put it all together for full games. And guess what happens? He's the player of the week in the Western Conference. And you know that those kind of attaboys, that recognition, especially after hearing like the Charles Barkley comments, especially after reading my thread on Thanksgiving on Twitter, and by reading my Center of the Sun piece that I put forth this morning on Bright Side of the Sun, after he reads all that stuff, he goes, yeah, see, I can do this, guys. I can definitely do this.
Yeah, and it's just really about, can he keep it up? And that's the one thing I do worry about, is because he can be that guy where he can wake up and be absolutely dominant, but it's about continuing to do it and have people just kind of stick behind them. Monty even said there's the standard. This is the standard now for DA, and it always has been. It's just now we see it because we've always known it's there. It's just how consistent can we see it? And the offense truly has to start going through him even more. It's going to get to a point to where he's going to have to touch the ball at least once.
Oh yeah, every possession.
And there's so many times I'm watching and so many offensive possessions where he is not getting a touch and he's running up and down, doing a lot of shit, and he doesn't get a touch. There's a lot of threes being jacked up. And I kind of feel bad sometimes. I'm like, just give him a touch, but it'll get to a point where if he keeps showing up like this, he'll get the ball. He'll get the touches. He'll be a bigger part of the offense. He might not always get the shot, but he's such a good passer. And like you said, 1 assist, it's crazy because he should be averaging like 5 assists. I'm not saying like he needs to do that, but if they get him more involved in the offense and he is the absolutely like first or second option, he'll have those assists. It's not going to be like a Jokic thing, but he can pass the ball around. He can find the open guy. We've seen it for forever. And now that he's actually been dominant, we'll see if he can keep it up, dude, because that's the one thing that's scary with him. And I know we're all very excited about him and the way he's playing, but he can drop off. He can be a guy that just is like, all right, you know what? I might take this game off, stuff like that. We can't see that. We have to see it consistent the whole year. It doesn't have to be 100%, but you've got to show up every game and put up those stats. If you play hard, they're just going to come. They're going to be there, and you can finally be an all-star.
No, that's what was going to be my next question, is given his performance thus far this season, which has been solid, is he all-star worthy? To this point of the season, is he at least a reserve? I don't think he's got the starting spot, but he's got to be a reserve, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have Jokic. You have what other centers are out west?
It's Jokic. It's Jokic.
That's it, right?
That's why I'm saying a reserve, because I can't think of any.
He just got hurt.
Cat got hurt, but he's not even playing center. He's playing the 4 with Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So DeAndre Ayton, potential all-star if he continues with this aggression, because he is, of all of the Phoenix Suns, DeAndre Ayton is the most highlight-worthy member we have. Devin Booker goes out and carves them up. 44 points. What did he hit? 1 3 tonight, maybe 2. I mean, we'll talk about him momentarily. But again, DeAndre Ayton, with some of the savage highlights that he's already put together this season, it's those things that are retweeted and they're seen on YouTube time and time again. Just like the little snippet that you put together today, congratulating him on his Western Conference Player of the Week that you put out on Twitter and on our YouTube feed. It's one of those things that is full of like great looking highlights. Like there's only so many Devin Booker jumpers you can put out there, be like, yeah, this guy's a fucking killer from the, but a savage jam while he's coming down the middle of the lane is very highlightable. So, we still have some time before the All-Star game. Obviously, it's in February. But if he continues to play with this trajectory, he's definitely an All-Star reserve, in my personal and humble opinion.
Exactly. And it's funny that video you're talking about, that one was put out, but just a couple nights ago, or maybe last week, after it's 3 games, the last 3 games he was awesome, 4 games maybe. But the game before that, like 5 games ago, it just seemed like everyone was turning on him, and this was like kind of the end. I just felt like it was kind of like, this is the end of Ayton. This is not going to work out. I truly felt that. And I was putting together like a video, like something kind of sappy and kind of like, come on, like, we need you. And I was getting like kind of emotional. So like people that think that like, hey, a lot of us just hate Ayton, we just don't want him to succeed. It's not true. I want him to be a part of this team and be something in the future with Devin Booker.
Do you know how happy I am to see him play like this?
This team is so much more exciting when he's playing like this, dude. It is a different team. It gives us a reason to really get excited about this team, to watch them. Of course, they're a fun team to watch, but right now when Ayton's playing like this,
oh God,
it's 100% better, dude.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Coach Fallen Founder, another one of our elite jamsters and a guest of the show in the past, is making fun of Lissy's audio. For those of you who joined a little bit late, Matthew, upon his travels coming back from Amarillo, Texas, left his microphone at his cousin's house. So he's got the AirPod thingies in. They're not even AirPods. What are those, Beats by Dre or something? What are you wearing?
They're Beats. It's like, why do they sound so shitty? That doesn't make any sense.
They don't sound shitty. They just sound like you're talking through Beats and not like a quality USB microphone that everybody's used to hearing. So Coach Fallen Founder is asking Lissy to say the following. So Lissy, can you please read what Coach Fallen Founder has said?
Yeah.
You got to say it like an old-timey World War II radio.
News bulletin. Japan invades Malaysia. Italy sends troops to Africa. And Germany annexes Australia. Austria ruled at war. Whatever, dude.
There you go, guys. Snip that audio. There's Matthew. He's calling like the beginning of the World at War Call of Duties. So, oh, man. The Warden. I want to talk about the Warden tonight and his performance. I think it was unbelievably clutch, and you can really see his basketball IQ tonight. That's what I want to talk about, because overall, 6 of 14 from the field, 1 of 6 from beyond the arc. He had 13 total points, had 7 assists, 8 rebounds, but he also had 3 steals and 3 blocks in this game, Matthew. And it was very interesting during that second quarter when Domantas Sabonis and Malik Monk were carving the Suns apart with the pick and roll. And it reminded me of like those 7 seconds or less Suns when Amari and Steve Nash would just go on those stretches where they'd run a pick and roll. Nobody could stop it. They literally do it for like a quarter and a half. Well, you'd make some sort of adjustment, and then they'd do 6 things off of it. I mean, that's who the Phoenix Suns were for a long time. And during those possessions, it started out with Mikal Bridges on the weak side because he was guarding Fox, and Fox just wasn't in the play. So he's off, and then DeAndre Ayton doesn't switch down. He doesn't drop properly to take Sabonis. And then Malik Monk comes around. So he's talking to him as they're dribbling the ball up the court, and he's kind of telling him what he sees. And then they run the play again, and DeAndre Ayton doesn't do it right again. So he's telling him again. They do it like a third time. And this time, Mikal Bridges is in on the possession. He switches himself into the possession, and he almost gets a steal. And then the next time they do it, he does get the steal. And you see right there the defensive IQ of Mikal Bridges and how he navigated trying to educate on the fly his fellow teammate to try to stop that one play that just was killing us.
Yeah, and he was a leader at that time. It was nice to have him kind of hold whatever was going on. Who knows really where anybody was supposed to be, but it looked like Ayton was kind of messing things up down there. And he was holding him accountable. And that's nice to see that he can kind of be that leader. Of course, he's a goofy guy. And towards the end of the game, when he gets the dunk and the 3, and he dances around, but then turns the ball over at the end, he's fun to watch in the end. To close games with his teammates is the best. But when he was like trying to take over the paint, trying to get in there and trying to make something happen, trying to force the issue, it seemed like he was doing that earlier in the game because no one really was. It was like the Kings were getting to the rim, like you said, at will. They were just in there all night long. But actually, like the points to paint after the first half, it was 40-40. It seemed like they were out scoring the Suns by massive points down the paint when it came to halftime, but it was even. And a lot of that, I feel like it's just kind of Mikal getting down there and just forcing the issue. And you always want to see him around the rim. You always want to see him closing out the game with a three, and then like throwing out the three fingers to whoever, even the fans on the sideline. He does it to them. You know what I mean?
He does to anybody.
He does. He almost cost us the game a little bit towards the end by just like taking his time. It was really weird too. Like there was a couple possessions towards the end where he was holding the ball and he would take it from Booker, and like after the cross half court. I don't know what that was. I don't know why they had to have Mikal like set up the offense or something, but then he would just give it right back to Booker. So I don't know what was happening there. I wanted Booker just to hold on the ball and, do his thing. I didn't really want Mikal to have the ball in his hands at that time because you don't see him do it. It's nice he used to in the past bring up the ball a lot, and they kind of do that every now and then to set up the offense. But at the end of the game, I don't want him to have the ball in his hand just because he's not used to it. So that needs to be Booker there for sure. Otherwise, it was a good game, man. It seemed like a different kind of Mikal out there, dude. Just forcing the issue, like I said, it just seemed a little bit more different because he just knew in this game, the way it was going, that the Kings they were doing whatever they wanted. So he had to do something different to kind of turn it around. And he did, I feel like.
Well, they used De'Aaron Fox as a decoy. Coming into this game, De'Aaron Fox was leading the team in scoring, and they found a mismatch that they could take advantage of. And it took the Suns and some in-court or in-game and on-court adjustments to try to navigate and stop it. And ultimately, they really didn't do a good job of it, in my opinion. It's what kept them in the game. Whenever they've gotten a jam, they brought Malik Monk in at the end of the game simply to run some of those plays. And Mikal had the one where he picked it off and then it went up in the air. Sabonis got it and dunked it. It was like, shit. I mean, that's what got them their last points, their 117th points was that exact play. So that's what they were trying to do. But, from an offensive standpoint, we didn't see a good Mikal game, and that's okay. That is. Would we like to see it? Absolutely. But guess what? Not everybody's going to play great every night, but he played really good on the defensive end. He had some massive blocks, some great steals. And because of that, he was part of, that's 6 turnovers alone he caused right there. And you look at it, the Sacramento Kings, they ultimately ended with 16 turnovers, which led to 24 points for the Suns. Now, the Suns had 17 turnovers, which led to 25 points themselves. They were very careless with the ball. You take a look at, Mikal Bridges, who else? Devin Booker, we're going to talk about him momentarily in his 6 steals. He had 6 turnovers as well. Lazy passes, a lot of weird cross-court passes. And this team, the Sacramento Kings, they're quick and they're long. So you throw something past half court or cross court, I'm sorry, you're gonna have a lot of just picked off passes. But I really feel the Suns, because of the speed that the Sacramento Kings play with, they really created a lot of miscommunication amongst the Phoenix Suns. And I thought that Mikal Bridges was really a key cog in trying to communicate, and you saw it in the third quarter. You saw it when the Suns came out in the third quarter and outscored the Kings 28-20 because defensively they were on point. In the fourth quarter, ultimately the Kings outscored the Suns 33-31, but that wasn't because of horrible defense. That was because the Suns were turning the ball over in that fourth quarter. They were taking care of it in the third.
Yeah, the way the Kings were playing defensively, they were, like you said, long, but they were filling the pathways so quickly. It was like as soon as the Suns offensively looked like they were kind of going nowhere. And I feel like that was the reason like Book really took over this game, where I've never seen him play like this before, where he just takes so many shots. It's like, he takes the shots, but it's like, okay, you're going to shoot again. You're going to shoot again. Like, that was really weird because I feel like the way Sacramento was playing defense, it was hard to get anything going, any kind of ball movement. Mm-hmm. They're so quick. Mike Brown's over there yelling at them, just screaming at him the whole time. He's like, this young team, this team that really needs to turn around. He's over there coaching them. It's cool to see because you can tell they respect him. So they're playing hard defense for him, man. They want to make this work. So that's scary to play against because they have really nothing to lose really this season, right? I mean, they're trying to figure things out, but they look good doing it. And Malik Monk, I thought he just shot threes. I didn't know he was that good at getting to the rim, using his length and speed. I didn't even know that was him until like 2 layups. I'm like, oh, wait. Malik Monk? Is that him? Maybe he's always played that way, but I think of him as a shooter, not a guy that can drive like that.
No, because our memories of Malik Monk are one playing for the Lakers, and so we didn't see him because the Lakers were too dominant. They're like, we don't let anyone play but LeBron and AD. But we remember when he played for the Hornets and he had that like 5 for 10 from beyond the arc game where he scored 28, 29 points against the Phoenix Suns. That's our Malik Monk memory. And then, you and I were big on him because he's one of those Kentucky guys. Here's what's interesting about Malik Monk. And for those of you who didn't watch the game, or maybe you did, here's his stat line: 12 of 17 from the field. He had 30 points and 8 assists in this game. He carved the Phoenix Suns from the bench. He's a bench player. He ends up playing a total of 30 minutes in this game, primarily because De'Aaron Fox was not effective and wasn't really part of the game plan, it feels like, because, Mike Brown found that Malik Monk is somebody who's going to be aggressive and can get to the rim at will, and that he did. And it's one thing that, we'll talk about it a little bit later on the subreddit Stakeout, but I mean, all the Kings fans were just pissed at Fox. Like, where are you? You're just hanging out on the sidelines, like, come in and try to help this team when we need you. If Malik Monk goes out, you need to be that guy. Here's one observation I had of Malik Monk. He looked old, man. Like, when they did a close-up of his face, I'm like, that's Malik Monk now? Like, 1 year in LA and he looks that old? Holy shit.
I was going to say, you play with LeBron and you're either in a mental institution or you're just almost 50 years old.
Look at Kyrie. Kyrie was doing great. Yeah.
It's just like when the celebs kind of ran out of the baby blood during coronavirus. Like, they just all look so old all of a sudden. Now they look young again.
Yeah, they're drinking baby blood. Man. Baby Blood. Suns Jam Session, sponsored by Baby Blood. If you're hanging out with us, disregard that comment and go ahead and hit like in the chat anyways. Anything else you want to talk about on the Kings side? I mean, one thing, all right, that I'll talk about real quick as I ask you a question, then I answer my own question. One thing that I thought was kind of cool at the Golden One Center is every time Keegan Murray would make a shot, he'd go, Keegan, and then like the whole crowd would go like, Murray. I thought it was kind of cool. I'm like, why don't we do that for any of our players?
We don't. We just do the 1, 2, 3, and I've always hated that. I don't like that.
1, 2, 3, first down. It's the same shit. It's like
the only other thing is Herter. I mean, he started out the game 4 for 4, and it was like, oh my god, is this going to be really a thing? He ended with the game with 18 points, but it just shows you, man. Like the coaching, 2 guys, Herter and Herter was good with the Hawks. He was decent, but these guys are so valuable now with this team. And just like Monk, like this, I don't know if it's Mike Brown or what, the atmosphere there, but these guys are kind of just, you have to deal with them. You're going up against them, you have to pay attention to them, unlike the past where you just kind of like, if they get hot, they get hot. But they're just day in, day out. They're playing these type of games. It's insane.
This is a good roster, Matthew.
Yeah.
When I look at this team and you look at how they're built, it's a solid roster. You have De'Aaron Fox, who, again, 4 for 12 in this game, had 11 points, had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, nothing crazy like he's been playing up to this point of the season, leading the team in scoring. But that being said, generally he's playing a lot better and has played a lot better this season. You got Kevin Huerter, who's a great 2 guard next to him. You have Harrison Barnes playing the 3, Keegan Murray, who is a rookie, who's playing very well in his role, and then obviously Domantas Sabonis as well. And then you have a bench that includes Malik Monk, Davion Mitchell, Terrence Davis. It's a solid squad.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and we're happy. We are so happy for this team to be good, dude. Hopefully, you have maybe a first round matchup against them. Maybe that
would be tough, man. I mean, I think we'd take them, but man, that's just a tough out in the playoffs. It would play a team like this simply because they play with a certain type of pace. But the Suns could probably slow them down in a 7-game series and ultimately take that series.
Big Dick Booker.
33 minutes into the pod, and we're just now talking about the man who put up 44 points in this game, Devin Booker, doing so on 28 shots, Matthew. He was 17 of 28, highly efficient. He also added in 8 total rebounds. He had 4 assists. He had the 6 turnovers, but he also had 6 steals. Devin Booker, who at the very beginning of the day was the one who was getting, all those back cuts by Huerter were happening on him. But man, he was making Davion Mitchell his bitch tonight. He played very, very well.
Yeah, he was going after the young guys, and like you said, it started off pretty bad. Like he had all those turnovers. I feel like in the first, most of them, like 4 of them at least. And then after that, he kind of got into the groove. And what really set it off, dudes, was a technical foul. Yeah, Devin Booker got a technical foul for bouncing a ball to a referee. Was it the wrong referee? It might have been the wrong referee. But anyways, he bounced it to the referee. Then after that, he gets the technical. And then all hell broke loose because there was a different Booker after that technical foul. He was insane, man. I mean, it was just like, if you want to keep count of his shots made or shots attempted throughout the whole game, it was a different Booker in a way where it was selfish in a way. It seemed like kind of like hogging the ball a lot, but the team seemed to be kind of rooting him on. It seemed like in the fourth quarter, to start the fourth quarter, he missed three buckets, 2 layups. One he probably got fouled on, then he missed the 3, like air or got blocked. Then I'm like, damn, dude, that's probably the end of it. Usually that's how it ends, right?
Yep.
But no, he comes back and he keeps shooting the ball, and he pretty much wins the game for us. I'd never seen that, right? Because usually it stops at some time, but it's like, who's going to really help us out? I mean, you can go to Ayton, you can go to Mikal, but it just felt like it was just Booker's game. He's just like, I'm going to win this game for us tonight. And that's what he did. And the turnovers came early, so I wasn't too worried about that. But other than that, man, like, he saw what DeAndre Ayton did, player of the week. He's like, no, this is my team, man.
Yeah.
This is my team. You had your time. That's the last one you're going to get while you're a Phoenix Sun.
No, I think that, again, it was a different side of Devin Booker tonight. And you mentioned it. You said it eloquently. He was everywhere, and he was going to take over this game, and that he did. And he did so in such a manner that was, I mean, for those who were watching the game on the Sacramento feed, they were in awe of everything that he was doing and how he was doing it, how he was getting to his spots, how he was making every shot, and how after that technical foul, which was a bullshit technical foul, where he simply just bounced the ball to the referee, and I guess he did it a little too fast for a referee's liking. He must have hurt his feelings or something. But essentially, he just decided, okay, I'm going to take this over because other aspects of this game weren't working. Right? As you mentioned earlier, the ball movement wasn't there for the Phoenix Suns tonight. It just wasn't. They didn't have the ability to whip the ball around like they normally do around the perimeter, get an inside shot, what have you, because of the length and the speed of the Sacramento Kings. So if you look at it, the Phoenix Suns ended with a total of 26 assists on 50 made field goals. That's a low total for them. The Kings had 32 assists on 46 field goals. So they were doing a much better job of whipping the ball around, using the pick and roll to their benefit. So it was a lot of ISO book, and it was frustrating, especially at the front end of the fourth quarter, because that's generally what we see in the last 3 minutes in these situations where it just goes to ISO heavy Booker ball. That was how we started the first 2 or 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. And I was like, okay, you got to have something more than this, Suns. You got to have something more than this. And ultimately in that fourth quarter, Devin Booker went 2 for 5 from the field, had 8 points because he got 4 free throws, but he was missing those shots early on in the quarter. And that's what was frustrating. And it allowed the Sacramento Kings to get back in this game, because all that hero ball, when the ball doesn't go in, it takes everybody out of their rhythm. And then the Kings were getting out and running and trying to force the issue on the other end of the court.
Yeah, luckily he had some other guys step up to help him. I honestly thought when that was happening, I'm like, shit, this is not going to go good, because we never seem to get to the point where Booker is attempting this much and then he goes cold and he comes back and helps the team. Usually, if he goes cold, it takes a while for him to get back into the game, and it was already the fourth quarter. So he came back quick, but he also got help from Lee, he got help from Mikal, he got help from Ayton at times. So it was like a collective thing for the Suns. A collective win, and it was kind of like last year where they would just end games. Usually it was Chris Paul, Devin Booker, but everyone else would get theirs. And that's what happened tonight, I feel like. It just was everyone got theirs, and they helped Booker out. And to see that and then kind of see the team support him for shooting as much as he was, it's kind of rare, I feel like, in the league. But you never see Booker do this either. So it's rare, but I just think he felt it tonight. I think it might be a Jenner thing. It might be one of those things where he's just like, I need this, guys. I need to feel something. He has
to feel something.
He has like a bald spot on the back of his head.
It's been there for a while.
I don't know if it's from stress or I got one of those once. I took it was what was it? It was some kind of it was some kind of steroid or something, and I got like a bald spot. So I wonder if he's on steroids or it's just stress from the Jenner thing.
Great. Yeah. He's going to get a 25-game suspension for diuretics, and he's got a bald spot. He's had that bald spot for a while. But yeah, I was thinking about that during the game too. It's like, this is their first time, since the news was released that Kendall Jenner and Devin Booker have broken up, that he's gone on a road trip. So maybe he just got out of town, just get away from it all, just focus completely on the sport, not being anything. It's not like he's walking into the Golden Center in downtown Sacramento, which I've been to before and is absolutely lovely. But it's not like he's walking in there and he has memories of Kendall sitting right up there in the third row and cheering him on. So he's like, he's in a place he feels a safe space, and he went out there and he dropped 44 and added to his resume. He's like, okay, D Ayton, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start my next run of a great week. Watch this, you son of a bitch, because this is the hardest game this week. If you look at the 4 games this week, you have this game. They play the Bulls on Wednesday, which is a struggling team. On Friday, they play Houston, which can be a team that'll bite you, but it's Houston. And then on Sunday, they play the Spurs. So Houston and the Spurs are the 2 worst teams in the Western Conference. So this could be one of those weeks where Devin Booker is going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go for 40 every game. How about that, guys? You guys cool with that? Cool. That's how I'm going to spend the beginning of December.
Yeah, we're cool with it because we want that point total to go up. The average needs to go up, man.
100%. 100%.
Jesus, this is a nice limo.
Yes, it is. Now suck my
Jack Landale. It happened last game. It happened again this game, in which Monty Williams now has this rotation thing where the first 3 quarters, he kind of lulls the defense to sleep by having Busy out there. And Busy, he plays well enough, I guess, in the opportunities and the minutes allotted to him. He played a total of 9 minutes a game. He had 4 points. He had 2 big blocks, a couple assists, 3 rebounds. But then they bring in Jock Landale for the first 4 minutes of the fourth. And they did the same thing in the last game. And he comes out there and he only had a couple points. They're both from the free throw line. He only had 1 assist. But the energy that he brought again tonight and his ability to get buried in that lane again changed the way that the Suns could execute their offense, because all of a sudden they're playing a lot of this perimeter stuff throughout the game. Devin Booker's carving them to death. And all of a sudden there's a few passes on the inside. They're like, oh shit, we got to account for this guy.
Yeah, it's nice to have he's like a closer in a way, right?
Kind
of coming into the fourth now and just kind of giving that energy and kind of closing things out. I mean, he doesn't end the game at all, but it's nice to have that energy. I know Ayton talked about it. We talked about it. You guys talked about it before, how he brought that energy in the fourth quarter last game, but he's going to probably be that guy now. I kind of like it. I kind of like seeing,
I like it too.
I like him coming in the same game as Bismack. I hated before where we just not see the other. It's like Bismack's playing this game, Jock's playing the other one. Then the Suns fans are concerned. I just play him in both games. And if you have a guy like Jock that has that energy, it makes sense to play him in the fourth. Bismack does such a good job in longevity throughout the game, just coming in and just always, he messed up tonight where he just turned the ball over, but then comes back down and does a LeBron block on the other end.
Yeah.
You have that from him. And then you have Jock that can come in and he's not shooting the 3. The 3 is, hopefully it's gone. I know in the beginning of the season, I was like, hey, he could do whatever he wants. This guy's fucking amazing. But it wasn't amazing when it turned to 5% shooting from beyond the arc.
Yeah.
So now he's not that guy anymore. All he is hustle. If this is his thing just for a little bit, I like it. I don't mind it. I feel like Bismack's doing a hell of a job right now. So keep it this way. I like to see them both in the same game.
Well, and I think, if Busy comes out and he's effective, you play him the entire game. But if he has a game where he, for the past couple games, where it's just not all there, you can bring in a game changer like Jock Landale, who's going to bring a different sense of energy. And I think it's easier to do that than go the other way around, right? Where you bring in Jock Landale and you have him out there playing. He's got such high energy. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, let's bring in Busy and slow everything down. That's easier for a defense because they're so used to trying to play with this high energy and this high spirited guy. Or all of a sudden you bring in a guy who's just going to go kind of nice and slow on him. You're like, okay, you're almost taking the pressure off. So I think it's very strategic the way that Monty Williams, who I'm working on a drop for. I think I finally had an idea today. I was walking the dogs and a drop idea came for me. So I finally have come up because we need one for Monty Williams. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll have that done.
They drop a deuce. You have a drop idea, huh?
Yeah.
You see him dropping that deuce? All right.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. Once my dog takes a shit, I'm just like, hey, that's it. I can have a Monty Williams moment.
Here comes the pain.
Not a great Cam Payne day. And the only reason I bring up Cam Payne is, one, he was 2 of 10 from the field. He was 1 of 3 from beyond the arc, had 7 assists, had 5 points, had 5 personal fouls. Didn't get a ton of playing time. Played 24 minutes in this game. Damian Lee really picked up in his slack. But for anyone out there who ever bets Cam Payne, he ended up with 7 assists. But you'll realize real quick, like, I bet the over on his assists today, being 6 assists. And, man, you don't realize how much of a ball hog he is until you have money on the line and you're watching every possession. You're like, pass the fucking ball. Pass the fucking ball. And he finally did. And, you know, so kudos to him. He does distribute more than I give him credit for. But it's one of the fun things about sports betting is when you do that, you really start to notice aspects of the game that obviously you're rooting for because it's going to benefit you financially. But, man, I ultimately didn't win this because I needed one more Cam Payne 3. I bet he'd get 2 threes. I bet that he would have 6 assists, and I bet that Mikal Bridges would have over 12 points. I hit on everything but the 2 threes. He was one of 3. I was like, God damn, sat on a bench.
He left you hanging, man. Yeah, he had some like finishes at the rim too, where it's like that was like old Cam Payne where he's finishing, trying to do the reverse or trying to lay it up. He knows he's gonna get blocked and he gets blocked. The reverse, he knows he's gonna hit it under the rim. And he hits under the rim. That's old Cam Payne, man. We don't want to see that, dude.
No.
The thing that works so good with him is that pick and roll with Ayton. He's really good with that. His passes have been phenomenal. I think he's been doing a really good job with that. I just don't know if Ayton was really rolling as hard with him on that because I feel like when it was really
defense was doing a good job of defending it.
Yeah, and I was going to say there are times, though, like tonight, where everything was just so close together and there was no room for any kind of pass. You saw if there was a pass, it would get tipped, it would get stolen. So it was kind of a weird game where he had no other option but just to go to the rim, and we saw those nasty layups tonight. But surprising he got those 7 assists, man. I would just say like he didn't really even have 2 assists this game because it just looked like a bad Cam Payne game all around.
Yeah, it wasn't the best one. I was surprised that he ended with 7. It's just, God, he was wide open for like one of those threes in like the third or fourth quarter. Wide open. I'm like, this is it. Brick. I'll tell you one guy who didn't miss a ton of threes.
Today I met this cat. He said his name was Damien. He thinks that we're a lot alike and wants to be my friend.
6 for 11 from the field, 15 points for Damian Lee, 5 rebounds, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc. And man, he hits some clutch threes for this team. He absolutely does. He's been such a great acquisition. And I was trying to think, like, in the offseason, like, obviously we got Jock Landale. We got Josh Okogie, who when he plays definitely, garners and earns his minutes. Damian Lee's got to be our best pickup, man, because this guy's getting really, really quality minutes.
Yeah, he what was it? He's like number 1 in catch and shoot threes right there this year with 50%. I saw that on Twitter for somebody. But the thing is, I'm on his side now. I was on Shamit's. I was like, Shamit, no, he's more consistent. But ever since we had that talk, I feel like Lee's just been insane. He's been crazy, and he's hitting big shots when we need him. Like tonight in the fourth quarter, when Booker was struggling, he hit big threes. He's doing a lot now to really get this team going and keep up kind of the momentum at times when you think it's going to disperse and there's going to be nothing there. We might lose the game. He picks us back up. He's that guy. He's been balling nonstop, man. Honestly, when we first got him, I was excited, but I was like, we'll see. We'll see. We can always get these guys where it's like, oh, he's going to come in, he's going to be a hot 3-point shooter or something, but it won't last. But he's proven he's very valuable, and it's crazy how good he's been so far this year. I know he went through a little slump early in the season, but now he's been consistent as all hell, man. He's our number 1 guy at the bench right now for sure because of the injuries, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that he's earned those minutes, and I think that, one, he makes Landry Shamet unbelievably expendable. And Landry's going to get minutes, and we're going to like what we see from Landry from time to time, and he had a couple big threes in this game, in my opinion, too. But he does definitely become expendable with his contract, and it's a good connector contract, so it'll be interesting to see how James Jones, the new president of basketball operations, which I don't even know what that means, but it'll be interesting to see how he is. Or how he navigates that. Mario Lopez asks in the chat, Lee, a 6th man of the year candidate? What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, he has those highlights now, the threes. Like, you need that. You need, like, those big threes that really help your team win games. He has that going for him throughout the year. He's definitely that guy. He can win that reward.
How many points per game do you think he's averaging after tonight?
13, right?
Nope. 7.7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now that being said, He's shooting 49.3% from beyond the arc. So, I mean, it's nearly 1 out of every 2 is going in. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of time, but he's putting himself in a position. He'll get those minutes. Anytime anybody has a bad game, it's Damian Lee to the rescue. And you got to appreciate that about him.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
All right, Jamsters. I was hanging out on the subreddit of the Sacramento Kings tonight, just with my hat backwards, just like I'm wearing it right now. They couldn't recognize me. They didn't see the Suns Jam Session logo that I had on the front end. But here are some of the things that they had to say. Prior to the start of the game, one of their Redditors said, no CP3 tonight. We need to capitalize with the win here if we want to stay in the playoff race. Got to take advantage of every opportunity we get. And then somebody responded, honest question, are the Suns better with or without Chris Paul these days?
I don't know, man. They're better with Chris Paul, of course.
Yeah.
A healthy Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Not a guy that's in the playoffs that's hurt and still fucking playing and costing us games. We're not good with that, Chris Paul.
Yeah, and you know what? We're 14-6. We're the best team in the Western Conference without him for what, like 8 games now. So guess what?
Yeah.
The answer is, are the Suns better with or without Chris Paul these days? The answer is just yes.
And also Booker too, MVP. It's gonna come back around. It wasn't there, now it is.
Yeah, put up games like this, and you will. Here's another comment from the Kings subreddit. I'm very much an Ayton over Sabonis guy, and generally curious about this matchup. So a little bit of love for for DeAndre Ayton from somebody hanging out on the Kings Reddit. That's a weak ass T on Book, but I'll take it. LOL. I think we can all agree that was a weak ass. You know, even they recognize it. They're like that was a technical foul. And don't get me wrong, like there was a lot of Booker's flopping. You know, when he kicked his leg out, which he didn't. He doesn't kick his leg out. Devin Booker's got mad hops, by the way. Like, he jumps like 3 feet in the fucking air. It's insane. And, like, the natural thing is to have your foot kind of drift. It barely drifts. Somebody caught it, and they called an offensive foul on him. Dumb shit. Sabonis is getting – this is a great one. Sabonis is getting under more balls than a midget hooker. Nothing? I got nothing from you. I got nothing from you.
I don't know,
Sabonis
man.
is
Midget
getting
hookers back
under
in World
more
War II.
balls than a midget hooker. They don't know if you had it back in World War II. Aussie Suns fans pod hanging out in the chat. The Kings have enough fans for a subreddit. This is an interesting question, Matthew, and let me know if you can answer this, because I was looking at this. Because if you go to our NBA, it lists all of the different subreddits for all the NBA teams. And it has the total number of members there. And they have about 117,000 people who have joined the Kings subreddit. The Suns, I think, are about 130. Which team do you think is the lowest? Because I looked at this today. Which subreddit do you think is the lowest? I'll give you 3 guesses.
Out of every team?
Out of every team in the NBA, who are what is the one team with the least amount of people subscribe to their subreddit?
Minnesota.
Nope. Good guess.
Minnesota, or let me get one more guess.
One more guess. Crazy Luigi in the chat says Detroit. That's wrong. Orlando's incorrect.
Okay.
Hey.0 says the Miami Heat. That's incorrect. The Kings is incorrect. Fabio says Utah. That's incorrect. I thought Utah after their last game, because I was doing the subreddit stakeout with you absent, and it was funny because like there was no one talking. Orlando, nope. OKC, nope. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They only have like 93,000. They're the only subreddit that has under 100,000 people. Okay. Little known facts.
Sense. Yeah, it makes sense, man.
Nope. I got a few more. All right. Not watching. How's it going so far? And somebody replied, decent, playing good D. Offenses getting to the rim at will. Booker and Ayton are really, really good. That was one observation. And then there was a little Booker thread. Somebody stop Booker, man, and the crying emoji. Wow, Booker is incredible. Booker is a lot better than Fox. Fuck off, Book. That's why Kendall broke up with you. Because he's just scoring too much. I'm literally watching Landell right now. Actually worried like he's a young Wilt was the last thing that I got from the subreddit for the Kings. But there you go. The subreddit stakeout for the Kings.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Any thoughts on that subreddit stakeout, Matthew? Anything you took away from that?
No, just the midget thing was kind of out of nowhere. It seemed very polite stuff, and then the whole Ayton stuff. They love him over Sabonis, and it's crazy how much we always love another player over our own players all the time.
Just
always.
fandom. It's just fandom right there.
Yeah.
Straight up fandom. What anything else that you had in your notes?
Do I have anything else? Let me take a look. I did. No, just Washington Jr. trying to run that point guard. I don't know, trying to run the offense there for a little bit, and they didn't look too good. So
Yeah.
I'm glad they kind of stopped that. Shannon needs to be more aggressive. Shannon needs to be a lot more aggressive. He is good at dribbling between his legs, but he's quick. Go to the fucking rim, man. Do something, dude.
Catch a screen and go. He needs to do what Malik Monk was doing tonight.
Yeah,
Catch a screen and go.
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters, as a reminder, if you're watching along live, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're watching along later, hit that thumbs up button. Shit, you made it this far. You might as well just, put the effort in. And please subscribe if you're listening to the podcast wherever you might be. So, Matthew, Jamstar of the game. You giving it to D-Book and his savage 44 points?
I sure am, buddy. That's who I got. You?
I think you're right here. It was a Devin Booker game. Don't get me wrong. I thought Damian Lee did a great job coming off the bench. The Torrey Craig offensive rebound sealed the deal. Mikal Bridges, as we discussed, with some of his defensive prowess. But this was a Devin Booker game. We got a D-Book highlight game. This is one that, people who fell asleep because, this is a late game. I can't stay up on the East Coast. They'll wake up and be like, oh, shit, 44 on 27 shots? Yeah, that D-Book. Yeah. That's what he do. Up next for the Phoenix Suns, they're playing the Chicago Bulls back at home. Another 90s night. Rocking the Sunburst jerseys. Matthew, trivia, because I'm full of it. When is the last time the Chicago Bulls played the Phoenix Suns when they were wearing the purple Sunburst jersey?
2001, January 6th, or 2001.
How do you know that?
It's true.
No, it's November 9th, 1999, Sean Marion's rookie year.
I was gonna say it was after the Jordan hour. It was after that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but we all think of the NBA Finals and the last game that Michael Jordan played against them in that series. He wearing those specific jerseys, the purples. He went for 45 points, but the Suns won. Interesting team in the Bulls. Interesting team. They're a team that's under 500. They're without Lonzo Ball because he's had knee issues. Zach LaVine's not shooting as well as he has in the past. You got a lot of question marks about what they're going to do with their roster. They obviously got the Nikolai Vucevic, and they realized that Nikolai Vucevic is just like, he's not that guy. So they're a team that, DeMar DeRozan's leading them in scoring. He's having a really solid season again, primarily from the mid-range again. But they're a team that is they're in flux right now, if you will. They're trying to navigate the Eastern Conference. They're the 12th overall seed at 8-11. You look at some of their weaknesses, if you will. Beyond the arc, man. They are the last team in the league when it comes to 3-point attempts made. Now, granted, they shoot 36%, but they only shoot 29%. So this isn't a game. This is another mid-range game that we're going to be playing. It's a game that they're going to try to win on the interior. So what are you looking for as the Phoenix Suns match up with them on Wednesday?
I want to. We're talking about Booker having a big game again the rest of the week, maybe. I do want to see Ayton put up some bigger numbers because tonight, I'm not saying it's not him. I'm saying that he was 8 for 10 tonight. He needs to have more touches, especially in this game. The Vucevic thing is interesting because I was a big fan of that signing. I thought it was what they need. Start adding players. They add players that have names that actually know how to play basketball. See how it works with Lonzo Ball. Of course, he had those injuries, so it's not working out. This team should be abused by the Suns. They just don't play well as a team. They're just not good this year. I mean, it sucks because I was looking forward to them kind of coming back. You don't even see anything with Caruso anymore either. Caruso
he's day to day, so we don't know if he's actually going to be in this game. I mean,
yeah.
Goran Dragic, is it a Goran Dragic revenge game?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's weird when you look at this roster. It's like, oh, they're not that good. They're not. I don't understand what that is because they should be at least decent. I know the East is a little bit more tough this year, but they should be decent. But I mean, I watch No Dunks a lot, and Trey Kirby on there is a big Bulls fan, and every time they go to him, he's just like disappointed. Every time talking about him, and it's hard to watch.
Well, you take a look at tonight. They did win tonight over the Jazz. The Jazz have not lost, 8 of their last 10 now? Holy crap.
Because the teams are playing them hard now, man. Now they're like,
they're not taking them lightly. But you look at tonight, it was 26 points by DeRozan on 9 of 20 shooting. Vucevic added 16 and 9 rebounds. Zach LaVine went for 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Coming off the bench, Andre Drummond's on this team, who, shit. Goran Dragic had 7. Kobe White coming off the bench had 15. You're right. This is a team that they should have a defensive mindset. They don't necessarily have that. And playing against the Phoenix Suns at home, I see a win in this one. For Brightside, for the Center of the Sun article that I put out every Monday morning, what are you laughing at?
Because you're covering this game. I forgot.
Oh, yes, I am covering this game for Brightside. I will lose because I'm 0-4 this year covering games for Brightside. But I did say the Suns would go 4-0 this week, so something's got to give. That'll mean I'll be wrong twice. Fuck me. Oh, well. Real quick before we get out of here, a couple things. One, Parker Hines, thank you for the $4.99 in the super chat. We truly appreciate you supporting the pod. Says, got to give props to the new president of basketball operations, James Jones, for getting Lee. What does his new position entail? I don't know.
Another stripe. Not sure, man.
Like he's a sergeant.
He just runs it. He's already running everything, right?
Pretty much. That's what I think. And last but not least, before we get out of here, Coach Fallen Founder, once again, he says, I'm really going to need Lissy to end tonight by making a sales pitch for the Jamsters to buy war bonds and keep the troops firing. So this is a reminder to everybody. Please subscribe, rate, and review. You can follow us at Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter, and you can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow Matthew on Twitter.
At Matt Chulisi.
Yeah, that's all I got. Matthew, do you want to sell some war bonds and tell people where they can go home to tonight?
I mean, I really wish I knew. I know what they are, I guess. I mean, it has to do with stocks or something, right? War bonds, or what the fuck is that?
They're war bonds. You don't know what war bonds were?
No, bonds.
So essentially what you would do is you would buy a war bond, and they would utilize that money to, for rubber and such, and then they would pay you back. It's like a personal loan almost. It wasn't stocks or anything. They were bonds. And I don't know if they had an interest rate tied to them. So it's like, buy a war bond and support the war. Give us $10, and when it's all done, we'll give you $12. I don't know, but it was a way to support the troops, man.
No, I never heard of it. Sorry. But yeah, go home and love your family.